We are at day 63 of our 100 days of community. Hi, Anissa. Hi, Tamika. Hi, Mia. Hi, Jamie. Hot tea and homeschool. Hi, good morning, Ro, because I do not want to destroy your name there. Good morning, Ro. All right. I'm holding my phone today because we had skate night again. On Sundays we do family activities, and the family activity that they chose was to go skating again, and they brought the I don't know where they are. That's I don't know where either phone holder is, and I'm in the house, not in the cottage, because it's all rainy and I was not in the mood to trek across the yard, honestly. I probably should have, but here we are. Hi, Sally. Hi, Tiffany. Taylor. So yesterday we were discussing joy as liberation work, right? And how suffering is not a requirement for joy, how we should be incorporating joy into our lives and celebrating, and all of the things that come with liberation work. Um, and it's hard for people to move through that, right? To hear that, to hear you should be um, having joy when so many are suffering, right, and then it feeds into this, oh, I'm privileged, I can't enjoy life, I have to suffer on behalf of those who are suffering. And it's like, your suffering is not going to change anybody else's suffering, but your joy 100% can change somebody else's suffering, because your joy is going to infuse your work to ensure that suffering ends for people, right? So if you have that, first of all, we're moving away from the language of privilege to leverage. If you have the leverage, if you have the ability, whatever that is, right? Like I explained, I have time privilege. Some of you have financial privilege. Some have, racial leverage. There's just a lot that we could be doing, and every one person could be doing one thing inside of this work. And so today, after speaking about joy, we're going to be talking about reclaiming rest as a radical act, right? I talk about like, oh, I couldn't finish that article until later on. Good morning, Lisa. Because I took a nap or what have you. I'm intentional about my resting. I used to go so hard, right? Like, though I think your hardest times in your life is like you maybe that push, like teens to 20s. You should probably go as hard as you possibly can, because the body, the mind, everything's there. Everything is aligned for you to go hard and not feel burned out. We could go out, we were able to party, get up and go to work in the morning, still show up. I love that. I'm not that person anymore. I haven't been that person for a very long time. And I also love that for me. But even in my younger heyday, I was a napper, right? So I didn't even see, like, I was already aligned and intuitive with what my body needed. I was good for, like, I just need 20 minutes. Just like, give me a 20-minute nap. And I napped daily. And that intentional rest, it wasn't by happenstance. It wasn't because my body forced me to, which I learned that my body would do that later on in life, right? Whether it was chronic illness, mobility issues, constantly being sick, your body will protect you. It knows what it needs. And if you are not listening to it, it's going to force you. Oh, you want to be dissociated from it? You want to be disconnected? Supremacy culture is taking over. I'm going to ensure that you can't do certain things, right? A lot of our illnesses are from the self harm of supremacy culture. So, today we're going to be talking about reclaiming rest as a radical act. And I have my 3 points. You guys ready for the 3 points? One is rest as a reclamation of humanity. Okay? Like that's important. Also, number 2, rest interrupts the cycle of burnout. 3, rest as a collective practice. I'm going to touch on that some more, but like I'm going to give you an example. My friend Leah posted the other day, she was having coffee, and I was like, God, I miss coffee with you. We used to live closer, right? So like when Erin and Jonah were little, and they're still best friends, they've been best friends since diapers. We used to live in proximity. I met her through at the time, my then husband, we had a cleaning and a lawn service, so they were looking for lawn service, so I went over there with Mark. We were quoting, yada yada yada. And I stepped inside with her husband, Mark, at the time. And I'm still her husband, but she also has a wife, Corey. But that's neither here nor there. That's my amazingly queer life. Um, so I go in, Mark makes coffee, her Mark makes coffee. Hi, Michelle. And I kind of like never left the house. I told you, like, I adopt people. I'm like, oh, these are my people. We became besties, shared vacations in and out. Like, she's the goddess mom to Kieran, just all of this. Just, she's like my go to. She aligns me with Reiki, all of the good stuff. All of that to say is she was like, oh, well, let's go camping. Because I was like, why don't we do a sleepover? Adult sleepovers are highly underrated. She's like, I would love that. But, and also, I'm also at the age where I really need my own comforts, right? Who said that the other day? Was it Tiffany or Carolyn? Feathering the nest. She needs to be in her own nest. And I'm like, that makes sense. She was like, can we go camping? I was like, yeah, I'm from the Bronx. Can we camp in my backyard, or like can we find somewhere local and I'll pull out the RV? Like those are the options for me and camping. I'm like outside. I'm also at the age and mobility level. No, it's not fucking. I'm an adult. Okay, is there a cabin near? Uh, so all of that good stuff. So the suggestion is like to come over now and like and just lay about in our PJs. And this is something that we do anyway, but we're intentional about that. But that for me is collective rest, right? Good morning, Cole is here. Cole came to visit. Glamping, yes, Lisa. We did that for Erin's 8th birthday. I'm here for that. But like roughing it, like with a tent, no, ma'am. No. Like, it's not my jam. I love that for other people. It's not. But like Cole came here, and this was the first time Cole was at my house, and Cole can 100% attest. And I was like, get in the bed. Like, that's it. Like, get in the bed. Are you comfortable getting in the bed with me? Right? Because consent and all things. Like, get in the bed. Let's lay about and let's just hang and talk. And that is collective rest. Just coming together. But anyway, we'll get to that because that's point three. But it just was like, right? See, Cole said we did. It was great. Yeah. Like, I don't want to perform, right? I want to rest. I want to be intentional. I'm very comfortable in that sort of way. And if you're in my home, I would like for you to feel comfortable in that sort of way. So now let's go back to the top. Reclaiming rest as a radical act. If you read this morning's article, Monday's articles are all free. I think I'm going to start doing these on Monday free as well, but there's no paywall access or barrier, I should say. And I was talking about the combination of joy and rest together, right? Because this is the season of renewal. We just passed the spring equinox. What does that look like together in combination? So after this, go back and read it. So, one, rest as a reclamation of humanity. Supremacy culture was built on this extraction of labor, especially from Black, Brown, disabled, and poor bodies, right? Because those are marginalized. It's not synonymous with Black, all that. Kate said, pretty sure I met you in your bedroom too. You sure did, Kate. That's right. Kate was driving through and was like, hey, can I stop by your house? And I'm like, yeah, sure. First time, straight to my bedroom. I'm a whore for my friends. Yes, absolutely. I am a let's hang out in my room. I have like a little like in a bigger room, I've always had like a little seating area or something. It is my nest. It's my space and I'm comfortable here and I'm laying and I'm resting. And you should rest too. And how nice is that to just laze about? Remember way back when I was like, I want you to reframe the word lazy. Laze, right? A lazy river, right? It's always beautiful when it's used in capitalism, right? Oh, come to our resort and enjoy the lazy river. Laze about on our shores. Yeah, laze about in your own house, okay? Get more lazy. I want people to get more lazy. So I said supremacy culture was built on the extraction of labor, especially from Black, brown, disabled, and poor bodies. It teaches us that our value is measured by our output, right? That production. Reclaiming rest is not just about slowing down, it's about reclaiming our personhood, our rhythms, and our right to exist without justification. It's about refusing to be commodified. That is something so important. So important. As someone directly descended from those who were only seen as commodities, capital, chattel, property. And even when that ended, we were seen as literally a fraction of a human being. That constitution that you want me to fight for says I'm 3/5 of a fucking human being. Got to start really decentering whiteness and look at other people here. Okay. The indigenous, their own practices were illegal until the 70s in their own land. We're at a time that this reckoning for white bodied people is very real, very sacred. Get there, reclaim your humanity. Like, I just stitched a video on TikTok by Revised Kabbalah, I believe it is. And she was like, wake up, remember who you are. And that's it. Remember who you are. Lisa says there are no lines to the bathroom at home. Ah, I love that. Bathroom, bedroom? Wait, I only have one bathroom. So I want to catch what you're saying. I want to know what you're saying, Lisa. It's important to me to know. So maybe I clarify that more for me. I know we were talking about bedrooms. Maybe I got lost somewhere. So I gave some examples, right? I said homework and self, because those are those three areas that we need to be focusing on. And I said a parent decides to not overschedule their children with activities, instead creates slow Saturdays. Ours is slow Sundays, where the family is encouraged to rest and restore together, modeling that rest is a right, not a reward. I choose, I said slow Saturdays here. Um, oh, staying in your comfort zone. Okay, got you. Um, Michelle said people just walk in. I mean, in my bathroom they do because we have one. Like, and I don't close doors, but that's a whole other. Yeah, no. We do close doors when it needs to be, but like just for the random regular stuff, no. But I recognize that a lot of people can't do Sundays, especially if you have multiple humans, trying to prepare for the work week or what have you, and the school week, and it has a little bit of its own conflict for me as well. I just wanted something to replace. We have to be honest with ourselves. There's certain things that we're still going to miss, right? Like we, Ashley and I were doing Sunday gatherings because I know people miss church, right? If you're leaving the church, I get it. I get it, right? Or you don't feel comfortable in the church or you haven't found a church home or something. You need something to do. And I miss church life in that sort of way, right? So Sundays for me is still communal. Sundays is still gathering. Sunday is still intentional. And I like that. Tiffany says, I like slow weekends in general. I like slow every day. Every day. I like every day to be slow because even the fact that we have to relegate it to this one funky ass day a week is a part and parcel of the commodification of humans, right? Of saying, okay, well, you got to go hard and then have slow. No, I would like for us to get to a point where every day is slow. Every day is a little bit intentional, even when we have to do the work of capitalism. Like I deeply recognize that we're in these systems, right? But the intent of this work is building those parallel systems. How could you build more intentionality into slowing down, even in the midst of the rat race? Sally said, deep sigh of relief when I heard slow Saturday. Love it. Yummy. Good. So take that slow Saturday, right? Like whatever that looks like. Um, there's a lot of things that we don't recognize are rituals inside of our own culture sometimes, right? Like the getting up and cleaning on a Saturday morning in Black households or ethnic households. A lot of other ethnicities do this as well. The music's going, breakfast is slow, we're cleaning the house. That's ritual. That is ritual, right? Wiping down walls and doing this and other thing. That is a cleansing of your home, of your space. That's slowing down. That's prioritizing something else outside of capitalism. And that is absolutely beautiful. Cole said, this is my biggest struggle in finding a new job, the lack of slowness during the week. Yeah, I want us to get comfortable with the idea of living smaller. We've got to release the idea of what we deem successful. You know what? Maybe some friends need to move in together and you guys just get two fucking part-time jobs. Listen, I'm at the age and stage and should be working on husband number 3. Ew. That like I don't want to do. This is it. I'm 46 in April. Okay, this is the final quarter, fam. This is where I'm at. I don't want to be hustling, bustling, and rushing. Right. If I do ever get partnered again with somebody, like, sir, I need I need it to be a lot more retired life looking. Like, even if we have to do the things to survive capitalism, it has to feel slow. It has to feel, I can't feel like I'm grinding like I was in my 20s. I'm almost 50. No, no. What does that look like? Does that mean that, we have to live together? Does that mean that we say, fuck this? Fuck this. We buy houses together as friends, right? Because somewhere down the line, they told us having roommates was bummy or lack of successfulness. And I really appreciate Friends, the TV show, for challenging that myth. Living Single, the TV show, for challenging that myth, right? These were grown ass, fairly successful adults, quite literally living together until they were all fully capable of doing something else, or their lives evolved beyond the necessity of living together, right? And in Friends, at least, that was rent control. Right? That was somebody's grandma's apartment. So there was a lot of underlying things. So there was already rent control, and they were still like partnering and living together and sharing. We need to be doing that work of dismantling. Tiffany says, this is why I own my own business. I may not have as much money, but I'm able to set my schedule and curate a slower start to my day. Is everything for my well being. Same. Hardcore same. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 something years because I needed to be able to curate my time. Someone else cannot dictate my time or my worth for that matter. It's capitalism plays in our face on our worth, right? Negotiating hourly terms or having to accept it. And then you start wondering, right? Like, how much is my time worth? How much is my body worth? Right? Like, I cannot quantify that in dollars, but it destroys you from the inside out. Like, I know, well, is flipping burgers worth $10 an hour? Bitch, is eating? Like, because I'll pay somebody $50 for a burger at the right time of day. Like, why is it not? Right? Like, we are wrestling with like there's such a disconnect, right? Because humanity cannot be commodified. But unfortunately, supremacy culture did an amazing job of doing that with enslavement, right? With indentured servitude, telling people what they were worth, what their time was worth, what their life was worth. And reclaiming rest is more than just taking a nap. It is saying, I am fucking human and I am making space fully for that. And I shouldn't have to run around and kill myself and work myself to death. And yes, living smaller, living with your family, someone else said queerness, right? Even living with your own family, multi generational living. Yes, do that. Do more of that. Get into that. Sally says, or roommates insinuating queerness. I don't care, right? Think me whatever you want. I am enjoying life. And if we were inside of our bodies more, if we did more of an intentional reclamation of our humanity, you wouldn't give two fucks what somebody said about how you show up in this world, right? And how they are perceiving you. Ew, you live with three others. I do. I do. And us three work part-time jobs. And we go to the beach once a month. Yeah. How's that working for you? Isolated in your individualism. Oh, you have a $3,000 a month mortgage. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, you just bought your house at 35? Wow. That's so you got to do that for another 30? Do you think that's possible? Like, because aging is a disability in this country. Like, what does that look like at 50? Right? My house that I'm in, 1,100 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. I told you guys before, I'm very transparent. $30,000. And I told you how I came about it. She allowed me to rent it. I took my taxes, gave her 5 grand. I was like, yes. She let me buy it little by little from her. $600. I had my first house. When I sold that, I paid off the rest of the debt. The house across the street from me, you know how much it sold for? Same house. $260,000. It's not real. It's not real. None of it is real. It's all a construct. The economy is not even real. It is something they created. Those numbers, the stock market, what's real are the impacts of the economy. Race is not real. Racism is real, right? The impacts of that. Gender is not real, but that patriarchy of it, the impacts of it are real. That is the problem, right? Money is not real. It's fucking digitals on screen. One morning I woke up and PayPal was like $100,000. And I was like, oh, where? And then it was a glitch and it erased it. Right. And I'm like, God, money is not even real, but the impacts of not having it is real. Right. So that is how these falsehoods have created our reality. So in reclaiming rest as something radical, we are creating a different reality. We're creating our own reality inside of their distorted one. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to catch my time thing. So I did that, right? I said work. So that was the slow Saturdays from home, work. An employee advocates for 4-day work week or flexible schedules to honor neurodivergent or caregiving needs. I really don't believe that people should be working on Monday. I think it's an absurd and unnecessary concept. I think everything should be closed, like unless it's like doctors, right? Like those sorts of professions. Like people need a work day to do work things. I don't need to be penalized because I have to go to the doctor. If it were, a 4-day work week. Mix Rogers says, we killed ourselves to buy a house and now we're dealing with how overinflated the price was. It was not real. It is not real. You know what was real? The 30,000 I paid for this house. That's absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. That's about right. You know what I'm saying? That's about right. And then there was work to be done. I've upgraded things. I've had to put a new roof. So like I'm probably all in now, maybe about 100 grand, but that's 10 years of living, baby. That's insanity. Tiffany says, don't be sorry. This is all so good. Okay. Well, thank you. But I do try to respect time boundaries. And I know that I can kind of go off, especially on these things, because they're not checklists. These are like, I want you guys to touch yourselves on the inside. No, but seriously, I want you to really reach in and and begin that undoing, that unlearning, undo the harm that supremacy causes all of us in some way or fashion, be it racism, ableism, uh cisness, what, like the capitalism, classes. There's so many ways that it is so harmful. It feels like a barrage and it makes us exhausted. And then with the crippling weight of capitalism, we don't have time to process it. So this is like very important work for me, for you to be doing for yourself. So that, right? Shifting the culture away from grind culture, like when you're asking to go down to a 4-day week, is like, listen, I get it. We have got to work. We got to keep this economy going. Like again, implications are real, impacts are real. So it's not this utopian idea. Like it's all gonna end in again, flowers and circles and hair braiding. That's not reality. But we can be building parallel systems. We can be demanding different things. Like, no, I want companies that have a different social responsibility. Like again, I was employed, self-employed for God, yeah, it's been 22 years now. And when I started contracting people for the cleaning company, I was like, no, Mondays are off. Like, do something with yourself. Enjoy that. Like it feels like an extended weekend every day. While everybody else is out doing the hustle and bustle, you get to have an intentional slow day. I've always been like that. Find companies that do that, that honor your ethics. Push, right? We have the power as the people, as the majority, to push against it. No, I'm not showing up. I'm not going to work for a company that does not honor my ethics. And I know that that sounds insane inside of capitalism, but that goes right back to intentional radical rest, centering joy as your liberation, not as something that happens in reward, but as just a part of your inherent birthright. Living smaller, multi generational living. I guess you're moving back into mom's house. You know what I'm saying? Like what has put mom in the backyard? Like I have my little cottage, convert a shed, get something else going, buy a fucking cheap RV. I don't know, but figure it out. Glamp in the backyard. Get roommates. Maybe every kid doesn't need their own fucking room. I grew up in New York City. Nobody had their own room. There's a lot of different things that we could do to push back and say we need to be doing collective economics and collective works. So then I gave you a self example. A Black woman gives herself permission to nap in the middle of the day. It's me. Without guilt, breaking the generational trauma of always having to do more and to prove my worth. I lay down. I'm done. Right? I give a reflection. I'll add that into the replay, but it says, where did you first learn that rest was something to be earned? Right? And again, it goes back to those thought terminating cliches, right? Rest. idle time is the devil's work, right? Notice how many of these thoughts emanating cliches are rooted in Christianity. So if we're trying to avoid being sinful in nature, right? Well, first of all, we're born sinful, which is wild. We're born sinful. And then if we're not consistently being busy, we're doing the devil's work, right? We're idolaters. It's like, it's a constant shaming for being a human being, which is awful. Laura says, gotta watch the replay, got a phone call. No worries. It'll be there. It'll be there. Um, Two, we're going to go over today. That's a hint. Two, rest interrupts the cycle of burnout. Burnout is not a personal failure, it's a system failure. It's a system failure. Again, I work with systems. I do talk with people, but I am a systems person. I see patterns. I'm like, oh, this is a system of whiteness. And what does that system of whiteness demand? It demands fealty. What is that fealty? It demands fealty to being cisgender, to being Christian, to being wealthy, to being able bodied, to, being perfect, right? To showing up to this performance of hierarchical, monarchical whiteness. That is a system. That means it could be dismantled when we see it for what it is. When we recognize the pillars that are coming up, it's like going into a company and saying, "Oh, this is where this company is failing. Let's fix it. We could fix this, right?" For me, the whole company just needs to be dismantled, and I approach America and American culture as a business, and all businesses can be dissolved. All businesses can be dissolved. Remember that. And this is a business. So, burnout is not a personal failure, it's a system failure. It's the direct result of overextension, emotional labor extraction, and a cultural refusal to honor limits. People are literally dying on the floor of warehouses. Sit with that. Here in the United States. Not in far off lands, not in third world countries where they don't want you to believe that people are living in third world conditions here. Like Flint still doesn't have clean water. Rural Georgia still has dirt floors in houses. Here, people are dying at work. And work doesn't stop, work continues while they come and cart the body off. You're replaceable, you're disposable. Where did it freeze, Taylor? Am I back? I hope it caught it. So I gave some examples there. Home, a caregiver institutes quiet hours. I love these for myself. Or solo time each week so everyone in the household learns to recognize. All right. Okay, awesome. So I gave examples for home. A caregiver institutes quiet hours or solo time each week so everyone in the household learns to recognize and honor their need for space and restoration. I love this. Break. We break each person to a room. I'm usually here in the living room, or I'll fuck off and go to the cottage because I love being completely alone and in silence. Shady goes to her room, Kieran in his, Aaron in theirs. Just take some time just for yourself. What am I going to do? Whatever you want to do. Nothing, right? The sweetness of doing nothing. Do nothing. I'm not going to read a book. I'm not going to scroll my phone. Maybe I'm just going to sit and breathe and feel my body. Maybe I'm just going to touch, rub my arms. I don't know. But my goal is to do nothing. Lisa said, my husband is a pediatric nurse practitioner. His coworker died in their call room. My husband, yeah, yeah. What? We are quite literally being worked to death. And there's a lot of issue with this because there's some grappling and some acknowledgement and accountability that has to happen. And America, white America specifically, has to grapple with its origins of enslavement. It has to. It has to grapple with the violence of commodifying bodies because we still live in a slave economy. And it has to sit with that. It has to sit with that grief, that trauma, that reckoning. right? Because what you have now, when I hear people complaining about uh, low wages, I'm like, it's a business. The best time for a business was enslavement, right? Labor. Free labor means all profit. So you are getting much better than what this economy it's a cost benefit analysis, right? It's a ledger. Like, this is now a liability. Paying people is a liability in capitalism, guys, because it started off with free labor and forced breeding for more workers to feed capitalism for free, for profits. Paying you is a liability. So having the audacity to want 15 funky ass dollars, they're looking at you like, are you fucking insane? We shouldn't be paying for this at all, because it started on free labor. And that is something that you have to reckon with. You have to take accountability. You have to own. Taught my kids, you're bored, great, get curious about something. Absolutely, Taylor, correct, right? Like, yeah, like, yes, right? They didn't have, just do something. What would you like to do? My kids are really outdoorsy, dig in the mud kinds of kids. So they usually kind of do that sort of thing. So at work, I said a social justice organization includes rest weeks after major campaigns, naming rest as a necessary part of a strategic plan, not just a luxury, right? We just did this big old push, right? Okay, we did this big push to get Kamala elected. Okay, take the week off, take a break. Let's regroup, let's reset, let's deal with the sorrow, the sadness. Okay, you know, in a week, 2 weeks, we'll come back at it refreshed, replenished, ready to go again. Because you know what? If one organization is resting, another one is working. It's okay. Again, back to those pillars of supremacy culture. You're not the only one. There's not only one right way to do this. Stop being so urgent. This is happening. And if everybody is working in this sort of way, it is happening. And it is rotating power structures, it's rotating power roles, and it's needed. It's a necessity. For yourself, I said, as activists delete social media apps for the weekend to rest their nervous system and return to their work grounded and less reactive. Nervous system regulation is imperative in this. You have to have some somatic practices, some grounding practices, or you will lose your entire mind. Like, it is not safe to be out here and not being intentional with these sorts of things, right? Okay, we're over this. We're over this time. 3, we're going to get through it. Rest as a collective practice, which goes right back to my story about me and Leah, and we're gonna make a date. So we could just like lay about in our PJs. We used to do this thing when the kids were little, so we'll probably bring it back. But we still do this thing. It just happens like once a year now instead of like once a month. But pancakes and PJs, right? So we bring all of the accoutrements for fun pancakes and stuff, and we all are in our PJs and we just laze about. So even the kids are recognizing that, right? Like, no, don't do anything. Just roll out of bed in your PJs. Let's go to Dez's house, and they come to my house because I got 100 kids and she has one. Come over here and we're just gonna do food, which is a necessity, but we make it fun. We watch a movie, we lay about, the kids play Roblox or whatever they want to do, whatever, like Taylor says, they want to get curious about. That is a beautiful collective practice. We do a fall festival every year. We've done that since the kids were little. And now it's grown, right? Because the big kids that this started for are almost teenagers, which is wild. They'll be 13. Oh my God. They'll be 13 this year. Food is one of my favorite love languages too, Lisa. Um, God, they'll be 30. Anyway, so this year when we did our fall festival, like the little kids enjoyed it and brought their friends. But that's a collective rest practice. Everybody comes over, we're painting pumpkins, we're sipping kombucha, we're like whatever we're doing, but we're collectively resting, and it's a practice and it's intentional. It's quite literally on our calendars. So if it gets busy, because life does that, but that calendar reminder is going to come up already for next year and the year after. And this is what we're committed to. So I said rest is often framed as an individual luxury, but it can also be a community ritual. When we rest together, we rewrite the story that says our value lies in what we produce. We learn to hold space for one another's capacity. Collective rest is an act of resistance against urgency, perfectionism, and hyper individualism. You know what I love about the ancient world and Jeju's? Like Korean spas should give you a touch. If you have not gone, here's my assignment. I want you to find a Korean spa in your area or a Turkish bathhouse if the Korean one doesn't, something. Usually there's a Korean bath spa. That is such a beautiful thing. And that lets you know that the elders, the ancestors, wherever you've come from, because you're indigenous to somewhere, all understood, right? To rest. Collectively, they would go into the bathhouses. They would be steaming and bathing and massaging and eating as a village, as a whole, right? I'll go to Jeju's and just relax. And everybody, they do gender it. I'd be interested in something a little less gendered as we move forward in these sorts of things, but maybe it's necessary. I don't know. I don't know where they land on that, but it's AMAB, AFAB. You could be nude or not. Most people are, and it's just like there's this release, right? Bodies become neutral. You're just there to rest and be taken care of. Nobody cares. Nobody's staring. There's a beauty in that. And I hope that you experience that. And I love that, like living overseas and being overseas and experiencing that in an ancient world. They understood communal ritual that was necessary for them to live and commune together, communal dining. Those things are beautiful, right? Have something once a month, right? A potluck. I know we make fun of potlucks and yeah, you shouldn't eat from everybody's house. But like communal eating is something that is really beautiful. Sally says workplaces are very good at creating trauma bonds, and they are. Billionaires wouldn't exist without wage theft. And you flip the switch for me. Wage theft is enslavement at its roots. Boom. I love that paradigm shift for you. Correct. Because they just keep trying to figure out how to not fucking pay people. Because for so long, when we say old money, baby, that's slave money. There ain't no old money. That's slave money. If somebody has the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers, that's slave money, baby. The first thing sold on Wall Street were black people. We are the stock market. We are the fucking capital. So I will never root for capitalism because it takes the commodification of human beings. We were the capital. We were the first things traded on the stock market. So this system will consistently try to find ways to not pay people. That's because paying anybody is a liability. And nothing has been better for capitalism than enslavement. It's why they go so hard on prisons and locking black people up. It is why they're doing this now with the deportation. You think these people are getting trips back to home? They're going to jail. They're going to legal slavery. And because, again, racism stops your liberation every time, because white people who want to talk about they helped free the slaves refused to outlaw it completely, thank you, 13th Amendment, slavery is legal when imprisoned. So now we're rounding up people, which is not new to America either, and imprisoning them. That's enslavement, folks. They will consistently look to get back to that because it's a business. And a business needs profits. Okay? It's not profitable, then it's not a business. And paying people is a liability. That's how business works. So, collective rest is an act of resistance against urgency, perfectionism, and hyper individualism. In your home, a family initiates monthly screen free rest nights with cozy meals, storytelling, intentional relaxation, reclaiming togetherness outside of hustle. Right. I would like to invite you to say that on your slow Saturday, your slow Sunday, whatever day you choose, your wisdom Wednesday, whatever that looks like for you. When you choose to do this screen free time, tell stories. Tell stories of your people, Your children should know your people. They should know their people. If these people pass, tell them a story about them. I love to tell my kids about my parents. Neither one of them are alive, or my grandparents. That's how we keep people alive. I have all kinds of fairy tales and African proverbs and Irish fairy tales and folklore that keeps your story alive, your history alive. It keeps them touching who they were or once were, right? And trying to remember that, recalling. Again, this work is a remembering. Decolonization is a journey back to yourself. My job is to guide you there. That's it. I'm just here to awaken the inner knowing. You know this already. You know this already. I need you to trust that you know this already. I'm just here to spark it for you or flip the switch. At work, a team creates a shared collective care calendar. And that's sweet. I like that idea. Maybe I should give you guys an example of it. Offering each other breaks, workload redistribution, and emotional check ins throughout the month. Like, you don't have to follow the rules. I want you to remember that. I want you to know that there's no way to dismantle this as long as you remain law abiding. And by law abiding, I mean all of it, all of the things inside of work, right? Like, why is there a list for taking over somebody's shift, but not a list for checking in and care? Who's out? Why are they out? Did their mama just die? Are their kids sick? Are we checking in on those folks? Why did they miss the shifts? What's happening? Hey, how do we cycle this so it works? What kind of, because even if like work cannot necessarily be a community, it can be communal, right? Like, you don't have to like everybody you're in community with. That's fine. But we still have to have a collective care model for the people that we are in community with. And work is still a community. It could be just a work community. You ain't got to like them. You ain't got to love them. You don't got to fuck with them outside of that. But how do we make the best of the time with the people we spend the most time with? Again, 24 hours is a myth because we are supposed to be sleeping at least between 8 to 12 hours. Commuting is an average in America is 2 hours. Do the math. You spend most of your time with people at work. Why is it not more communal? So, thinking about that. For self, I said a community circle hosts a liberation lounge. You can see it. I got my ideas sprouting. Where folks come together for naps, journaling, gentle movement, and the nothingness with no agenda but rest. When I get this land, guys, you're going to love it here. You're going to love it here. Because I'm just going to do a yearly membership and we just going to section off some part of the land and you just go and it just exists for that, right? Like, I like the Jeju's model. Like, just come in, meander about. It's 24 hours. Go sit on a hammock that's out there in the tree. Do something. You know what I'm saying? And still keep boundaries around my home area because, safety. But that existing. Anyhow. So that is our day for today. And I thank you guys for extending so much time for me. Let me wrap up the 3 points that we talked about, right? Day 63 is reclaiming rest as a radical act. Is one, rest as a reclamation of humanity. Two, rest interrupts the cycle of burnout. Three, rest as a collective practice. I want you guys to sit with this. Also, I am going to tell you now that April 8th is the rest day that I am giving to you guys. Okay. I'm going to put that in there. I want you to mark it on your calendar. And I would like for you to come into the Makeshift Happen group. And I want you to tell me, I'm actually going to ask that in the Makeshift Happen group, what you're doing on April 8th for your intentional radical rest. Okay. Okay. That being said, we are going to, let's see what we're talking about tomorrow. Creating space for celebration in community. That is what we're talking about tomorrow. So take that time, let that sit in. If you are not fully caught up, do not feel any sort of way. This is a roadmap. It doesn't have to be taken in this sort of way. You could say that this sparked you to have to return to day 14 or what have you. That's fine. Take your time, be intentional. This is supposed to be transformational work. It's going to take its time. And time takes time, guys. Okay? I love you. I mean it. Be intentional. Take some deep breaths. Move your body and drink your water. See you tomorrow.